So, this is the first in what I hope will be a long and useful series of videos on the effects of bullying, um, how to not be affected by bullying, but to also understand the long-term effects and how to deal with them. And while I really hope that this will be of use to kids, we know that middle school is where the bullying really begins. I hope that it will also be useful to some adults who have gone through similar experiences and find themselves in similar situations that I have. This is all from my own personal experience. I'm not going to claim for a second to be any kind of therapist, though I highly suggest it for people who are really struggling. Find a good therapist, find a good person to talk to about these things. But I'm not one of them. I'm just a guy who's almost 50 years old who finally decided to start doing something about the things that I've carried around for almost 40 years, and to start expressing myself and my creativity and my passions, instead of just sitting back and doing nothing and sitting back and being afraid. And honestly, right now I am afraid. I do not like doing this. I don't like being in front of a camera, even though it's the camera on my computer monitor and there's nobody behind it and there's nobody here to listen, to do anything, to criticize, to mock, to even just be interested in what I'm doing. It's still unnerving for me. But one thing I have learned so far, and it is pretty recent for me actually, is to, when you're afraid, is to simply say, okay, I'm afraid, and acknowledge it. And some people say love that fear and let it go, and other people just say, yeah, acknowledge that you have it, there it is. And so if I have to look the fears in the face, it's that people will criticize me. People will not like what I'm doing. People who have known me for years will go, what the hell is this guy doing? This is ridiculous. Or, who does he think he is? Well, yeah, okay, that could happen. One major lesson that has helped me so much recently is to understand that I cannot control what other people think of me. I can't, and trying to control what other people think of me does nothing but cause me pain and anguish and worry. When I was finally able to stop thinking so much about what people thought of me, I started falling asleep normally. I'm a guy that usually takes 2 hours minimum to fall asleep. But once I was able to understand and really put into practice that, that I can't control what people think of me, I've been sleeping better. I feel better. And, we'll talk about all that stuff, later on, different series, different ideas. But I wanted to acknowledge that, there is fear. There is fear behind this. This is hard for me, but I have to do it. I feel like, I don't want to say I'm being called, because that just has this kind of weird religious culty thing going on behind it. But it's inside me. These experiences, these things have to come out. And honestly, and somewhat selfishly, it is because I need to express them to get them out of me. But I also desperately and sincerely hope that this can help somebody. This can help anybody, from a kid to an adult my age to even older than that. If this can help, that will be that'll be wonderful. That'll be a great thing. I guess one thing I just want to go over in this first one is a concern and something that has disturbed me greatly recently. And let me just, I need to find, and here it is. I'm concerned that, and I'm sure, I'm not the only person. I'm concerned that bullying is just never going to end. I don't know if it's nature versus nurture, or if it's, some kind of species thing, level thing. Who knows? I just went to the animal adventure park today to see, the animals there, and animals bully each other all the time, especially when it comes to food. But I'm concerned about a hypocrisy that I'm seeing, that is really, I think, something that needs to be talked about really quickly, and we'll do more in the future. But here's a quote from stopbullying.gov. Is under the heading, "Model how to treat others with kindness and respect." And it says, "Kids learn from adults' actions. By treating others with kindness and respect, adults show the kids in their lives that there's no place for bullying. Even if it seems like they are not paying attention, kids are watching how adults manage stress and conflict, as well as how they treat their friends, colleagues, and families." Ooh, well, okay, that's great. I agree with that. There's nothing about that isn't correct. And you see it all the time in schools. Stop bullying each other. Don't call each other names. That's terrible. But then we as adults go home and get on Facebook and call each other names all night long. And all, comment sections on news articles. Hell, even, I subscribe to this Far Side cartoon appreciation group, and it doesn't take a day and suddenly there's comments in there about cartoons that are all political and all name calling and all nasty. Well, how can we as adults be so hypocritical to tell our children not to call each other names when we do it all the time? We have to show up, and we have to show differently. And I'll be the first to admit, 18 months, 2 years ago, I was one of those people. I did it constantly. I railed against people who held political beliefs that were opposite to my own. Even those who were slightly different than my own, I would go off on. But then one day I just realized, my God, this is actually, my stomach is in constant turmoil. I'm always in pain when I look at these Facebook posts, and when I go and start bashing away at my keyboard, I felt like crap all the time. And I realized, and it helps that while I was writing my second book, and again, that's something we can discuss later too. While I was writing my second book, I discovered that my main character, who had been bullied, when he started to gain a little bit of power, he became a bully himself. And that's when I realized that someone who had been bullied when they were a kid, and am still carrying around all this garbage in my head from that, I had become a bully. I was using my mind and my knowledge to bully other people. And it hurt all the time. And it hurt. It just hurt. to do that. So I stopped. And I unfollowed all the people in my Facebook who were you constantly posting about politics and constantly calling each other names. Man, do I feel so much better than I used to. So much better. I cannot suggest to you, no matter what age you are, just get out of it. Stop doing it. Use Facebook or any other social media only to spread kindness. Okay? And look, I'm not trying to be some, hippie, airy-fairy, new age stuff. I'm really not. This is just my reality. These are things that are happening to me. But back real quick to the whole expectation of our children. We give an expectation to our children that they are not going to be mean, that they're not going to call each other names, because we tell them that words hurt. But then we, all night long, and sometimes all day long, we go after each other on Facebook, on whatever other social media you can think of. It's nonstop, and it needs to stop. Because if we want our kids to stop bullying each other, we need to stop bullying each other as adults. So, well, there's the first one in the can. I apologize if things seem a little scattered at first. There's no production value to this. This is just me sitting back and talking. If you're a kid and you're watching this, please don't use what I just said as an excuse. Don't say, well, hey, my parents are doing it, I'm going to do it too. Look, let's try to act a little better. We don't need to mirror what everybody else is doing. Okay? So thanks very much. That's number one, and take care.